even number, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, even number, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Oh, so very nice. Response. So, looking for this training, actually we were thinking why we came up with this sort of training. Then we realized the main, I would say, concern is like when it comes to clarity, right? There's a lot of we would say a lot of standards. Then when we think of standards, right, they are very individually different from one another, right? So when they are different, oftentimes what happens is that we have things like different minimum percentages, we have different requirements for on-product labeling. So this is why we came up with it. For today, we'll be covering only I would say four schemes. So we have Recyclass, we have OBP, we have HRDC, and we have Iscc Plus. Full disclaimer, this training is not to actually promote any standard. At the end of the day, I can see, I think most of the ones present here are all consultants, all implementing. Your goal is to see which one is best suited for which client, depending on how much they are taking in terms of recycled content and how much their capability to actually process certain resins, certain materials that are recyclable. Just a bit of introduction about myself. I think most of you know me, but I think maybe like Sakshi, when she first came, we didn't have a lot of conversation with her. So prior to coming to Peterson Solutions, I've always been in the wildlife sector. So I was working with Sunny Lagoon. So now it's like 2 years. Here also 2 years, I think I would say 2 years plus. So now I think I'm like a senior consultant, and I think I can have to change my age to 30, but I'm just like trying to stay within my 20s. So where my expertise would lie is oftentimes in tourism and also related to waste management, where waste management can come to a bit I would say in the industrial level or to the consumerism level. And then we have the minor ones like carbon and biomass. So these are my credentials, and that's why you see my top industries was related to where my expertise lie. So if you have a certificate, of course you will have more knowledge in terms of where you lie, in terms of what you're good at, right? So your learning outcome today looks a lot, but actually it's, I would say, in theory, one could compress it all together. So you are actually going to define your fundamental principles of circularity and recycling. Circularity and recycling have different, I would say, concepts or principles here. So they are part of being very resource efficient, reducing waste. And then there's, of course, going to differentiate the four standards. We have Iscc Plus, we have Recyclass, OBP, and HRDC. And we're going to define the sustainability claims, because all of these standards, right, they always have different ways of making claims, whether on product or off product. So when you recognize these claims, you are able to distinguish the use of it. Then how they apply this. When they apply all of these sustainability claims, oftentimes it's because they know their recycled content. So after that, we're going to look at the chain of custody models. So chain of custody models are banyak. We have mass balance, we have sometimes control blending, and sometimes they have similar terms for one COC model, but different standards apply very, very differently. And we have volume reconciliation. This is very common in mass balance model. We will look at what volume reconciliation means. And then we will compare all the four certifications in terms of how we use their labeling, logo usage, and graphic markers. We have a bit of activity briefing, yeah. So I know we have a very small group today. So we'll just take a more like a chill tone. Maybe after this we can like split into two. One of you maybe can go to Sachi and then discuss. But I only require one person just to present. So when you present, oftentimes what I'm looking at is whether you are able to identify the recycled content and how you're going to use your claims and logo use. There's going to be a written assessment, but this will be at the end of the training. Yeah, we'll give it hopefully by this evening because I have to make sure the scoring system is correct here. So it is 15 questions. The last 5 or 4 will be a bit tougher, so they are worth more. So that's the score over here. The passing mark was 75 here. So macam like SPM, right? High school like that. You have to pass then only get certificate. So yeah, that's about it. So you have a written assessment, you have to do activity. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know all of you dalam besar-besar panjang. If you need to excuse yourself, please do so discreetly. And of course, there's some emergency briefing I have to do. Just now we have one of our participants. She's like taking the long route, but you can actually head over to the toilet or to the emergency exit just by using this door. Yeah? If the fire happens there, then don't use the door. You can use on my right hand side here. So our assembly point is at the ground floor. Just head over to the outside of PopTech Tower, which we are located. Don't use the stairway. So in the case that anything happens during my training session here, just know that it's the will of God testing your exercise. Kita kat tingkat berapa? 12 like. So it's going to be a long journey down. Okay. So this is your scope essentially. Yeah. So we're going to have a bit of introduction on all 4 standards. We have Recyclass, we have OBP, HRDC, Recyclass. And of course, prior to that, we're going to have to actually learn or understand what is it to be recycled, what is it to be sustainability, and how these standards differ to one another. Then you have your claims. Claims ni sangat penting ya, because a lot of times client will ask you, how do I do my claims? Do I omit certain objects? Do I put this in my B2B claims or B2C claims? So these are all very important. But in order to determine this, you have to look at the chain of custody options and the recycled content of it. So all of this will boil down, and the result will be your labeling and logo usage here. So you will have actually certain slides range who will fall into different categories of that, category 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, just a bit of ice breaking here, guys. I know some of you are noticing that there's some garbage or something on your table, but what I need you to do now is like you look on, especially to your left or maybe for Sachi in your front here. There's some objects here that have some jute twine on it. I want you to essentially grab one and share with us the recyclability of the item and how did you determine the item's recyclability. So how I do it is, an example would be, this is a bottle. I know this bottle is recyclable because essentially it's a common knowledge. So I can see everyone already choose their object. Okay, maybe we can start with Iscc. Maybe Iscc dah pilih ke? Which is your? Okay. Do you think it's recyclable?
Yeah.
How do you know?
The plastic can be recycled, but there are something here is e-waste also.
It's made of something other than plastic.
Yeah. So you need to segregate it first before you want to recycle it.
Maybe the best way to give to Iscc is disassemble lah, because segregate tu maksudnya you can pisahkan, but this one requires disassembling the waste. How about the next person? Yeah. What is it? Actually, I have no idea. I simply took things randomly.
Coffee.
It's a cup.
It's a cup.
Yeah.
A glass cup. You can use as a pot if it's not usable.
But what is the rate of recyclability?
100%.
100%. Even the one that the cover on it?
Cover plastic. This
Oh,
one.
the cover kan
Yeah.
The cover is this one is leather. PVC. Yes.
I'm not sure.
Since
I'm not sure
it
about
becomes
that.
very confusing, right? How about is the
So I think this one can be recycled because the cover and also the body have the labeling for the recycle.
Yeah. So this is easier. There's a label on it, and maybe Versace.
This is glass bottle.
Complete. That looks like complete glass.
Complete. So it's entirely recyclable.
Yeah. Does it does it have any like labeling on it or?
No, it's just print, but it
Just
cannot be
even
normal.
at the bottom is empty, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me see.
Yeah.
So entirely recyclable.
So yeah, so now you can see, right, guys, you use both a bit of your knowledge and at the same time you look for labeling of or certain logos to indicate the recyclability of the object. But sometimes plastic is a dangerous, I would say it's a dangerous material. Why? It comes across as multiple different materials and it essentially can it can fall under the category of non-recyclable and recyclable. So for example, the paper, the angpao that you see at the bottom, the paper in itself is recyclable. However, the plastic on it has made it a bit difficult. So now, right, in order for it to be recyclable completely, right, you either have to be hardworking, which is to take off the plastic parts of it and then recycle, or essentially the whole thing becomes unrecyclable because either production operations or there's some contamination. Paraffin, plastic waste oftentimes can't be recycled, making the process very tedious. Yeah. So now when we look at recycle and what is circularity, circularity and circular economy, guys, is it's like synonymous. People use it very intertwined. But the concept of it is essentially having that circle image that you see here. So we take the raw material, then we do the whole production, the design of it, and then the distribution of it. Then comes us, where we consume and use the material in itself. Now, if we can reuse or repair it, then we have that mini circle over there. But if not, the best way is actually to have that yellow section there, or orange section, I know we call it orange section over there, which is to go back to the system of essentially regeneration. So that is your circularity. But right, in the process of circularity, you will notice that that yellow part there is essentially where recycling starts. So when you see the light blue section, that's reuse and repair. So refurbishment, trying to reuse a certain object does not fall under recycling. So that's why the certain standards become extremely picky with how you use the word recycling. So essentially what they think is that when you say recycle, you have incorporated waste rather than trimmings or something that is reusable. So let's say your production is making wax paper or something like that. When you cut the wax paper, right, tepi-tepi jatuh, kan? Now, production will say, oh, this is production waste. But sometimes certification schemes don't recognize this. They will say like, no, if your system says that you collect this within your system, within your operations, to feed it back into your system, then I don't regard it as waste. So, because they say that you're reusing back on the material to just increase efficiency of the material. So here you can see recycling is one of the process. So basically the upper part is circular economy, then you have reduce, recycle, compose, stuff like that. So in true zero waste concept, recycle should be the last part, but recycling has always been like a hot, like go-to material recovery step, and I think nowadays they are trying to shift that. I would say shift that concept or that principle. I will start with Recyclass. Now, by the way, guys, this slide is has been proofread by like one of our very expert circularity colleagues here. So, Recyclass is actually one of the newer standard that is like gaining popularity. They align themselves completely with EU actually. EU says by 2030 there needs to be a certain amount of recycled content to actually be part of the EU's consumerism. Paham kan what it means? It means like if let's say Kai makes that calculator, he can't sell it to the EU right unless he can prove that he has some recycled content in his calculator. Recycled content, not like certification scheme or anything like that. Just recycled content. So in order to have a recycled content, then it can go to the EU. So Recyclass has, you can say, like 3 kinds of certification. You have recyclability, and this is focused on your plastic packaging. Why? Any idea why they focus on plastic packaging, not the product itself? There's no wrong answer. Anyone bought any products from Shopee, Lazada? What's the first thing that you throw away?
Plastic.
The packaging is the ability to actually recycle that packaging, right, is not easy because oftentimes they are made in a disposable manner. You are meant to dispose of it. It's very difficult to actually recycle this material. In fact, if you go to Japan, right, they are the only ones that are maybe there's some other countries, maybe it's actually can go like me, but when they have a cardboard box, they know that the cellophane tape is like waste. So they will, before they use the cardboard to send it to a recycling center, they will pull out the cellophane tape. Here in Malaysia, we don't do that. We say everything goes. So it's up to the collection center. So the recyclability of the plastic packaging becomes a focus here. They want to target the problem. It's one of the standards, right, solely focus on plastic. This is one of the standard that only looks at plastic. So if you notice here, see plastic, then when you look at the recycling process, they simplify basically the operation, like how you get the material, how you recycle it, your rate of losses. All this is audited as part of the recycling process, but again, it's plastic. Then you go to the recycled plastic. Now this is your product certification. So this product certification, again, focus on plastic. So what it means, right, if metal, if I have an object that is metal or metallic, can I go for Recyclass? So don't go outside, say get Recyclass, it's hot now. If they are metal or steel company or latex, if it's plastic latex, okay. But if it's like leather, pure leather, things like that, so be very careful. And one of the interesting things about this standard is actually they align themselves also with international standards, like other international standards. One thing is the control of trading chain of custody model as defined in ISO 22000. 2000 T5. And then you have the EN 15343, which is conformity for development of the product itself. So for this training, number 3 is your, we will focus on the number 3. So if you want to know like when we look at Recyclass, what are we focusing on? We are looking at recycled plastic. Then you have OVP. Now OVP is a bit interesting as well. So this standard was in response to trying to divert waste, plastic waste essentially, from going to the coastal lines, to the ocean, to the beaches, and essentially any of the recycled material, right, that is eligible to get certification, right, they have some logistical, I would say constraint or requirements, maybe not constraint, requirements, whereby minimum, right, the entity needs to prove, especially the collection organization needs to prove, right, that this plastic memang located or is within 50 kilometers from the coastal line. It's a long journey, 50 kilometers, but essentially why, before you ask why, any waste that is 50 kilometers within the coastal line, right, has a very high rate of actually entering the rivers and then slowly making their way to our ocean system. So this is the Zero Plastic Oceans is your certification scheme owner, yeah. So they have, I would say, 2 kinds of certification. So you have ocean-bound plastic certified. This ocean-bound plastic certified would be the focus for today. This is where they ask for the content of the recycled content, what category it falls under. We use this one. On your right, are you guys familiar with how carbon credit works? It's almost very similar when you read the standards. It's almost trying to prove that this product was made where you have neutralized or you have removed a certain segment of plastic, and this is verified and traced to offset the claims. So it works like plastic credits usually. So it can have product labeling where it's very, I would say, intangible. It's not like ocean-bound plastic. It's like it's for certain that in your production you are taking in recycled material. But for ocean-bound plastic neutral, you can make a product essentially that is with that ocean-bound plastic neutrality logo on it. But probably the material itself is not recycled material, and another different kind of material that we thought that has no worthy to have such logo is the one that is being taken as plastic waste from the ocean. So we can cover this on a different training, but the left-hand side is our focus for today. Then you have GRS. So GRS is, I would say, it's very holistic, yeah. So you have the first 2 standards who are like plastic. Then now you have the standard here that is like, I do plastic, I do cotton, I do leather, I do paper, I do metal, I do textile. Textile can be anything, right? Oftentimes your clothes is made of different kind of materials, a combination of different kinds of materials sometimes. So GRS is actually one of the, I would say, quite holistic in its approach to what it considers for recycling material, but it was meant for the textile industry. So when you see clients taking GRS, it's abbreviated as GRS. When you see them taking GRS but they are not in the textile industry, these are all because the standard itself is very holistic, kebetulan in Malaysia we don't have a lot of textile production, so the adoption of such a standard is done by the textile and plastic industry, and it's also not common for other types of industries. So when you meet clients, right, they say, can I take PRS even though I'm not in the plastic industry? You can. But again, it's market demand, right? But in Malaysia, the ones who take it is mostly the plastic industry. Even though they are not related to making clothes. You can, it ranges from food packaging, from making cellophane tape, those are all those who take GRS. Now you have ICC Plus. ICC Plus, I used to say this to maybe like Sachi or Go, that ICC Plus is like certified anything, everything all at once. is that sort of the standard, yeah? So, of course, when we think of similarity, yeah, this is where the two materials come in. It certifies any kind of similar materials, that's one. But it also accepts biosimilar materials as well. So when we say biosimilar materials, we are talking about like used cooking oil, things like that. Of course, when we talk about biomass, waste and residues for the purpose of energy production, ICC Plus is also one of the steps you can take as well. Biomaterials, for those who are not sure, right, it's essentially things that we could make this item out of plastic, but instead of using plastic, we use a totally biomaterial, such as what I put here, you got sugar cane and agave here. So they make it cellulose-based kind of products. So you see this in maybe how many of you have drank Zeus coffee? No, Zeus coffee, right? If you notice, if you buy like a cold drink, right, their straw has this texture, these dots on it, and then don't be surprised if you see someone eating it, because it's actually biomaterial actually. So it could have made it with plastic, but they essentially took raw materials that is from agricultural waste. Very rarely people grow the agriculture to make the material itself, because there's competition with food security, things like that. So we try to, oftentimes these are all made from rice husks, sugar cane, agave. So all of these are materials with biomaterials. So the logo will be very, very different for all three materials. The ones that are related to circularity or recycling is your circular materials and your biocircular materials. Now we go to claims. Yeah? The word claim now is just a statement relating to achieve or committed sustainability initiatives. When we look at claim, oftentimes there's so many types of ways to do claims. You have corporate commitment claims, progress claims. These are all, I think, maybe those looking for ESG training. You see this. This is their current performance, and they make claims like maybe something like we are committed to sourcing 89% of our PET from GRS certified sources by 2069, whatever. 69, okay. And then you have also progress claims. They say currently we are sourcing, they say they're not committed. They are doing it. So currently we are making bottles that are 50% recycled content standard certified for their sparkling soda bottles, something like that. Then you have assured claims. When it comes to assured claims, right, it means that things that you you can actually provide assurance, verification, validation. So satu ni macam I can write, I can say it, but no one outside of my company comes to actually verify the total. So assured claims here is product related claims or claims by certified organizations. I have the certification. I am certified ISO 9000, I am certified 22000. So these are assured claims. Then you have things that are agreement-based claims, informational statements. So all of these are, I would say, of a lesser value in terms of what claims is. So agreement-based claims could be like one entity to another agrees that we're going to make commitments, or we are going to agree to start transitioning to something. So it's not an individual thing, but it would be based on two entities or something bigger, maybe country-based, things like that. And then you have informational statements, which is essentially providing an elaboration of what or how they commit to their sustainability initiatives. Now, Recyclass's claim, right, has the recycled claim. See, I put recycled and Recyclass, get confused. It's recycled claim. So when we say recycled claim, right, which is going to be the sole and focus of our training today, right, we are essentially saying that how much of the content is certified and what is the other sustainability attributes associated with it. Because you must understand, when you recycle sesuatu, it can be from two. Coming will always say this one. This maybe let's think of it as like if I am a factory, and I'm generating waste. Then you have us as humans, as consumers. We use their product and we also generate some sort of waste. There's a difference, right? We call this as, any idea what we call this? Waste that is actually coming from the consumer. It starts with a P and then with a dash something. Actually, both also starts with P and dash something. Certain sustainability standards will have us to explain this. Correct. Then types of waste. We have maybe one that is before consumer and after consumer.
Post-consumer, because
Yeah, it's pre-consumer and post-consumer.
Oh,
Yeah, they have a pre here. Oh my gosh, the horrible thing. So you have pre-consumer here, and you have post-consumer here. Sometimes certain companies, when they make a claim, this is they would put things like this, sustainability attribute, and actually it comes in handy in terms of feasibility as well. Because if it's post-consumer, then they have to trace back the collection organization, how, especially for Recyclass, how they've been recycling or collecting this particular waste. So pre-consumer is easy because oftentimes a lot of organizations, when they get certified or want to go for certification, when they realize their own production trimmings are not considered waste, they sell it off or they make sure it goes out of the boundary, their factory boundary, and then it will be considered waste. Then when they buy back back and they will say that pre-consumer waste. So these sustainability attributes could be part of the why recycling claims might need to include this. And when you look at GRS and Iscc Plus and a lot of the sustainability standards, right, it also means what? Not only it complies to environmental, but it complies to when you think of sustainability, right, what is it? Incorporate the triple bottom line, which is environmental, social, and profit. So to make these claims, you have two things. What is the input materials and the output materials? We need to figure it out. And then how much is the recycled content of it? So Recyclass will always have this, in terms of claims, Recyclass, we will look at Recyclass first. So Recyclass had, like I said, it has different certifications, right? So those of you who are wondering like the recyclability for plastic packaging, right? Actually it's not easy because when they want to get certified, right, they go for laboratory testing. But that's not needed when you produce a product that has recycled content. So there's no requirements for this. And then these claims for this kind of certification, you can do it B2B, this in your invoices or to your, when it comes to business, trying to do some kind of contractual basis, or to your buyer, your end consumer, essentially your retail. So your certification marks can be used on and off product. So on product means you put it on product, off product means you put it maybe something on your email, on your banner, or our company website. These are all off product. Now you look at the minimum, you got minimum here. So Recyclass is what they say is like in order for you to be certified, in order for you to put the mark or the label, sekurang-kurangnya at least 10% of your total product. Let's say who had like multiple material. You can use this one. This one is like multiple things. There's a leather, there's like there's like rubber on top of it, there's plastic, and then his plastic also looks like there's one that looks like glass, and then there's probably one that is like two as the cap there. So let's say, right, he had let's say, right, when you do Recyclass, you're going for Recyclass, you want to tell your consumer, right, only the glass hard part, only that is certified. Now, your goal is to make sure that it's at least 50% of the total weight of the whole product. Weight, so that means if you have something there that is like super heavy at the top there, and if it exceeds, if it makes at least 51% of the material, then you can't go for recycle content. Understand? Understand, right? So it means that even if you want to say like the caps of these bottles are all Recyclass certified, it's practically impossible because cap very small, right? For bottle cap, it's very small. Doesn't make maybe it makes maybe 20 or 30% of the total weight of the bottle, especially if it's this bottle. the smaller the bottle, then maybe it's fine. But if it's a bigger bottle, then it's hard for you to actually be certified. Recyclass. So when you do B2B claims for Recyclass, essentially you're just saying that you can do two ways, which is one is like I'm certified for Recyclass for this particular product. These are all, by the way, guys, just for your information, when you get certified with most of the standard, if let's say you have 10 products and you have and your client is buying two, your certificate, right, oftentimes need to say that this two is the one that is certified for that particular scheme. It will be listed in the scope certificate. You will see how the scope certificate looks like. If it's not there, you either have two options. Coming next certification, you put those products into the scope certificate, or you don't sell these two of product to them as Recyclass or BP and all that, because it's non-conformity actually, a very big incident. So then you can have a very specific claims concerning the recycled content of it. So B2B, sometimes they want to know like how much is your content for recycled content. So they will put things like transparent Ziploc bag with 50% recycled plastics from pre-consumer waste. So this is a claim that you can give to a client as well, either by email or in the invoice as well. We can shorten it. So when you do B2C business consumer, all product claims, oftentimes for Recyclass, they say it needs to be linked to a specific product or component certified when communicating towards the consumer. So again, it needs to tally with your certificate and audit report. Again, right, like when you say this object is certified, basically what Recyclass wants you to say is is there a name on this product?
Gold Coast.
All Gold Coast, all of our Gold Coast products are 51% or 60% recycled material. If, that's what you can do for your B2C B2C claim, sorry. Then you have certified express or disclosed claim concerning the recycled content of a product. So it means, right, every time they sell it off for B2C, right, kena disclose how much certified. And additionally, they must specify the origin of the waste. Not to say the waste is from Cape Mandu somewhere in one country. He has to specify this or this actually. Pre-consumer, post-consumer. He has to specify this. And the percentage of the makeup of the recycled content. Why? What it means, like guys. Contoh lah. We take this as an example. Let's say, right, Kai made this Gold Coast. This Gold Coast, like, is actually maybe like 90%, 80% certified. The thing that I would say becomes the cutting factor is when Kai made this Gold Coast, right, he's taking both pre-consumer and post-consumer. So this is what the statement is. The percentage makeup of recycled content when the origin is pre-consumer. You have to do some sort of calculation. So now, yeah, logo, right? Later we will see you will see they will put things like 50% certified, 50% recycled. Then we will have a small bracket there that says 25% from pre-consumer waste. You will have to write something like this in your product labeling. But Recyclass, pre-consumer. But let's say if your product, the origin is post-consumer. If it's post-consumer, right, then this Recyclass is very happy with you. It's like, wow, you managed to get waste from us, the consumers. They say, if you want to put this bottom, this bracket, can. You don't want to put also can. I don't have a problem with it. So they reward you in terms of cracking your head with regards to the recycled content. No need to do like so much of a breakdown there. So you need a recycled content is 100% of the post-consumer origin, but may not necessarily make up 100% of the total weight of the component since there's a small percentage of additives in there. This part here, what I mean is, let's say if it's they put it on 100% post-consumer, or they don't put it because it's all post-consumer waste, you yourself know that there's some additives added into the production unit. You know why, right? We put additives. Tahu tak why you put additives in plastic products?
Make stronger.
Yeah. So maybe like for Kai's glucose, you need it. You cannot use you cannot use a typical bottle kind of material. It needs to be heat resistant. It needs to be hard. So all these properties are achieved when they put additives. If it's a small percentage, then it's tough. It's no problem. Now we look at OBP. Oh, okay. OBP now they categorize it as two in terms of what claims is. So they have promotional claims and product specific claims. Their promotional claims are essentially of product. We are certified to this, we are committed to this. So promotional, there's nothing relating to the product. Then you have the product specific claims. So these product specific claims, you will have different standards underneath it. So you have the OBP recycling organization and brand standard. So the recycling organization collection standard and the OBP plastic producers and users standard. So under the OBP recycling standard, right, you ada tiga actually. You have the brand standard. Brand standard ni is for who?
Company that
Huh?
company produce the like the brand.
When you think of brand, it's always what?
Product.
Here.
The producer.
Producer.
Yes. But is it like atas or already coming down here? Yeah, it's coming down here. So sometimes, right, they are buying the OBP product, but their product claim, right, is from the entity before that. So they just have to carry forward. So that's why I put there. They cannot do independent claims. Let's say I'm KFC and I'm saying that maybe the plastic carton for my salad or whatever, all of OBP claim, right? I cannot simply like just say like, oh, it's 25%, 50%. No, I have to ask from the production line what is the content, then I carry forward to use the claim, because they have a B2C claim, but I have to do a B2C claim and then just put the logo there. So I have to follow the brand standard. This one is recycling organization. Oftentimes, guys, just take into note, most of OBP, those that make a product that has a recycled content, they are certified with two standards. This recycling, the plastic producer, and the recycling organization. Recycling collection organization is those that on top. So they essentially are the starting point to make the recycling claim. Then from there, we might take 50% of what they have, then we have 50% from fossil fuel. And when we campur, then when we start doing that campur, right, then we are actually recycling organization. If you are collecting, like if you are up the supply chain, right, you fall under this category actually. Now, yeah, so see, so we'll be focusing on this. Most of the time, you see two kinds of certification, which is collection organization or the recycling organization. Recycling organization is the one that makes the product. Collection organization is the one that collects it, somehow rather makes some if they do give it, if they do any production out of it, then they don't fall under recycling organization. They fall under two actually, both collection and recycling organization. But if they collect, then they bersih, then they give like they shred it, they make it into chips, right? And they sell these chips, then it's they fall under this. If they are making plastic pellets, they dah start cairkan the plastic with pellets, right? Then he falls under this and this. Because sometimes an organization collects and also makes the product, right? So if they make the product, they have to take two. If they don't collect, they just buy it from someone who has waste, then it's this. So they can make all these claims regarding the recycling content. But now I think recently they have this social plus OBP claims. So these are all the social component included in it. Maybe we can have a separate training on it, but dia macam add-on. You know, right, when you order the drink, nak whipped cream ke tak? Something like that. Logo dia a bit more cantik, a bit more like comel-comel, yeah. So you can actually be add on your certification for this. So the content of OBP, right, very flexible. Why? Maybe because it's not easy to actually divert waste from the ocean, especially it's 50 kilometers. So right, what they say here is for OBP, the range for your certification is 1 to 100 actually. So you can be 1% certificate of material. It's not out of the ordinary. So OBP is one of the standard you guys have to take note. It can be 1 to 100%. It's very flexible. There's no minimum kind of thing. So, but your on product claim, right, can have two things. You can put this, it's X%. I put X% because again it's 1 to 100, right? Recycle OBP. So OBP categorizes their waste. So you have things like X% recycle water waste, OBP. Or if you take the add-on, by the way, to those that just came in, OBP recently had like a plus add-on certification. So the add-on certification is social plus. So it takes into account the social aspect to a large margin. So you have, I put a star here because you have water waste, you have potential, you have fishing material, and you have shoreline. You have 4. Let me elaborate what is the 4. Your 4, right? The one that takes the largest chunk here, right, guys, is your 50. Is your potential OBP. A is this all the way until this. A is the most common. Potential OBP is very common. You open the list of certified companies for OBP, basically all potential. Then you have waterways. This one, the company, the collection organization has to prove that when they took the waste, right, it was at least 200 meters away from the riverine system. Like di sungai, and this is the river. It's 200 meter here as well. Anything here, upper, it's river, upper waterways, consider waterways.
It's not a buffer zone for that.
Yeah, 200 meters is considered waterways here, left and right. If you collect it within the river itself, it's also waterways as well. Number 3 is very rare. It's fishing material or BP. So things like nets or gears that are collected from either in the ocean or the lion say, the fisherman says this is like spoiled. I want to give it to you since you buy it from me. Then you categorize it as fishing material. Because this game or BP recognized as it's bound to end up in ocean systems if not collected. So they're trying to give that to it. And then you have shoreline. Shoreline means those that came for our team building, we collect rubbish from the beach, right? All will be shoreline. All will be shoreline. So you have 4 here. You have waterways potential, which is the largest one. Why it's larger? Because it can be from factory also. That is not located in the coast, but it's within 50 meters from the coast. So it's a larger area to actually collect waste. The rest all have very specific locations. Now we look at GRS. GRS has a minimum, yeah. They said if you want to be certified and your product is also the certified, sekurang-kurangnya minimum 20%. That means, right, your product, if you want to make more claims to your buyer or your consumer, right, it's not possible that they say it's 90% or 80%. But GRS is very interesting, in the sense that oftentimes if you see products, especially clothes, you only have like one label and one label only. But GRS says, right, you can have the product like maybe your baju, your clothes, and you will have a tag right here, and the tag like GRS. But it says, right, that you can have other textile exchange and non-textile exchange claims to it. So you can have something like RCS, or even like Recyclass, provided that it's addressing the same material attributes. That means like if it's both the same material attributes means like RCS and GRS is relating to recycle content. So this is allowed. And also if it's like cotton, you know, we had a discussion like the sheep's wool can be certified under RWS, responsible wool standard. If it's a two different thing, that also is allowed. So there's a rule, I put that there's 2 rules applied. There's 2 rules applied here. Rule number 1, it claims relate to separate components of the product. So let's say you're saying GRS is for the plastic part, and then RWS or recyclable contents is for the content part, and that's possible. So let's say Fidaus, our dear ex-Fidaus, what he makes shoe, and then he says that his shoe has 2 parts here. He has 55% for GRS certified for the upper part, And for the sole, right, you say like this is a very particular kind of plastic that if I buy it from someone, they always have a very low claim for GRS. I can only get RCS because why? RCS at least has no has a lower requirement for recycled content. Then when he makes the claim, he can do this. He can do this. And then I think maybe one thing I can share, this is fun fact. This GRS and RCS, right, they are both textile exchange standard. There's a scheme owner, right? And textile exchange, right? Both RCS and GRS is the mark of it. So, but GRS is superior. Superior in the sense of the requirement. Why? Because GRS requires a lot of social requirement. GRS is one of the only standard, right? I think for our consultation guys, technologists, have to follow ILO no matter what. For PESC, FSC, right? You can always say like, we take a bit of ILO, but in the end of the day, we follow national requirements for our labor laws, OT, minimum wage, things like that. But GRS say no, we don't follow a national law because there's a chance of it being very low standard. So a lot of companies struggle in GRS in the sense that now they have to think, how do I maintain production and give lesser OT for my workers? Because they always oftentimes give the workers work a lot of longer hours. In Malaysia, we say like 100. So that's units, is it? 105 in a month. 120. It's much lesser for ILO. So a lot of companies struggle. So RCS is very, I would say, inferior. Even the minimum recycling content is much lower for RCS. And this is rule number 2. Rule number 2 is the claims are clearly distinct from one another. Example, when they make this, and this especially for, I would say, B2B, if you can say that these two products are segregated, they are segregated one, and also that there's no mixing of it that can cause confusion with regards to the recycled content of it, and this is applicable. So let's say Firdaus again, now he's making a formal wear, right? So now he says, right, when I make this shoe, right, I actually assemble it. This shoe is not like one 3D printer like that. It's not like that. It says like we will produce the top part first, which is PVC. Then we have the outsole part here that we will produce under Recyclass. So when I assemble this, right, and I can show you that this is how I know it's GRS, this is how I know it's Recyclass, then you are permitted to do. But both of them are relating to circularity. So this kind of labeling becomes very crucial for B2C because when they are packaged together, you might need to maybe the shoe, right? Very rarely will everybody shoe like that. Just like, okay, thank you for coming, sir. They give you like this. It's always in the box, right? So now in the box, right, have to be very careful with this now. Just to actually have one section here that details out like overall this is the recycled content. The top is GRS certified and the bottom is Recyclass certified. So they have to elaborate actually. GRS says you need to elaborate. You cannot not elaborate because it gives they don't want to give the wrong impression to consumer. Because it's like 50, then you got 95, then they're like, how is it possible a product is 150% certified? Yeah, carbon neutral, offsetting somebody else's plastic, is it? So it's actually, they have to elaborate. distinguish this is the content of it. And we have ICC Plus. ICC Plus is also same, very similar to I would say OBP. No requirement for minimum percentage content for certification. For certification, if you want to use on-label product, then got, I will elaborate later. So that means when you want to get certified, you don't have to actually have any kind of minimum requirement. It needs to be like X certified plastic, for example. There is of course requirement again, except for on-product labeling. So you can extend this again. There's three, right? We have circular, which is maybe for plastic, for metal. Then you have, what's the second one? Biosimilar. Then the one the completely boleh makan straw one is biomaterial. Yeah. So you can extend this to the other three sections as well. No minimum amount. You can get your straw like 5% ICC plus material certified for biosecurity. Next one. Oh, going up. I will discuss further on in terms of making the combination of blending for ICC Plus in your next slide. So this is due to the need to be very specific. You need to be very specific, yeah. Why? Let's say I'm making a pen, right? Client will always ask you guys, right? When I put my claim, because the pen comes into like this one, example, right? Then they will put here certified something. When you make this calculation, right, they will always ask you, do I take the plastic part, or do I take the amount of recycled plastic over the entire product, or do I take the input of recycled plastic over the plastic products only? They always ask this. That means like they want to know the certified content. They will ask, do I my bahagi tu, right, my denominator, is it weight of total weight of product or total weight of plastic material of product? Because the recycled content is for plastic. So when they ask us, right, they will always ask this. Do I put 100% certified plastic because everything is plastic, or there's some metal materials there? Can I omit this out? So we will discuss this further. Now we go to chain of custody models. We got 4 here, but be very careful for chain of custody models. But to elaborate, especially the ISO 22095 for chain of custody. The chain of custody is an approach to control your input and your output. So it's essentially, according to DRS, they use a very good sentence here, which is the integrity of the recycled content is depending on the chain of custody model, and it's used to track material through the supply chain. So typically there's 4 chain of custody, but they have very different degrees of definition. Definition dia masing-masing lain. For IP, this identity preservation is IP. And you have physical segregation, and you have mass balance, and you have book and claim. So you have 4 guys. 4. Book and claim, mass balance, physical segregation, and identity preservation. Before I go, right, do you not go? Which one is the strictest? Strictest, is that the word? The most strict. Which is the most strict?
Yeah.
No. The out of the 4. I want to ask this, which is the most strict for standard? Then later it looks like marketing one standard to another. The art of the mass balance, chain of custody models, which is the strictest? Think from the perspective of a production line, guys. I ask you a very simple question. If I have recycled material here, and you have virgin, right? Virgin material, all this while, so I do my production as it is. Now suddenly I take a standard, right? Then they say, you have these models. Choose which one is better for you. I ask you, right? When I make something, right, isn't it better for me to mix it? Is it easier for me to just mix everything together? Or is it more work for me to like segregate them, make one storage area for this, make one storage area for this? Which one is easier?
Mix.
It's easy to mix. So if it's easy for me, right, that means it's not so strict. That's the logic behind it. If it's easy for you, then it's not so strict. IP and physical segregation are considered very, very strict. Why? You have to show to the auditor or to the person that you have in fact separated them. If you mix them in any other way, then you have to do it by bookkeeping. So that's why, right, certain organizations value IP and physical segregation a lot. It says like this is for very good amount of certainty that these products are separated, and also the separated content is very highly accurate. If you are mixing it and all that, right, then there's a chance for the silap. So you mix it all together, right? So the only reference, right, is your invoice, the VO. You have to keep the records of it. So we look at Recyclass, right, guys? Recyclass has actually have three, but when we look at in terms of the product, like making the product itself, then we end up with this. Mass balance approach is only for the plastic packaging, the recyclability certification of packaging. So I'm going to omit this now, guys. Let me put that in. I'm going to omit this. Very complex. I don't know how you guys want to comprehend it in terms of the. I don't know how you guys want to comprehend it. So we will look at control. Now get out your calculators. get ready. So for control blending, right? Recyclass says this is your formula. Your X is your recycled content expressed as a percentage, and your A is the mass or mass is weight. Sorry, after high school, mass, weight, gravity. Mass is your recycle input for A. P is the mass of the product, component or family of products of the recycle output. So the P, right, again, it boils down to just now when we were discussing about, if we say that we want to tell our consumer that it's just the outer layer, the container itself is recycled certified, Then P is the weight of this. You don't include the rubber, the leather, all that you don't include. You do not include, you omit it. But if all of it is plastic, all of it is plastic, then you can, because it's focused on plastic. So you have your simple recycling food. So let's give a very simple example. Plastic pallet. Okay. So plastic pallet will probably now, in order for it to okay.
Sir, can you go back to this?
Yeah?
Can you go back to
Yeah,
this?
yeah, sure, no problem.
Because, yeah, exactly.
Why times 100? Because you want to say a percentage more. If that's times 100, right, it would be like populuhan. Populuhan or like very small number. You know what the hell? So maybe this is your granule and your pellets here. So right, guys, you have X35 or ATP here. So the total is probably 100. How I get 150 here, guys? This is good. 135 plus 15. 135 plus 15 is 150, right? So the recycled content, the certified content is
135.
yeah, 135. The upper part is uncontrolled. So it's simple. 135 divided by 150 times with 100. So the mass of your A is essentially the HDPE granules, which are recycle certified. And your mass of the recycle output would be the combination of everything. So take into account this here, guys. Includes all polymers and non-polymeric additives. So if you put additives that are not usual medicine of nature, right, you need to include that as well. But it's usually a very small bit. Clear? Very simple. This one is considered very simple already. Okay. Now you have a choice. Okay. We've made the number, the HDPE number. Now we're going to assemble it. Again, Recyclass is for textile. Recyclass is for plastic. You can see here you have this, which is, it looks like, by the way, this is a company from Hollywood. They are making this like kayu things, but it's actually, it feels like kayu, but it's actually plastic. So they call it HDPE lumber, which is high density polyethylene. So you have plastic, one, then you have the non-plastic components here. You have the metals and nuts and bolts and screws here. And somehow right there, banyak cucuk masuk, everything is 2 kilograms here. So you have other plastic components as well, which is the wheels and the brackets. Maybe they are made of plastic as well. And then for you to light up, it's also made of plastic. So right, guys, what would be the total weight of everything? Total weight, I'm asking total weight. How you got 44? Plus all everything. If I ask you how much is the plastic material?
Minus the plastic component.
So just minus 2, right? 44 minus 2. So 42 is your below here. Now, right, you you have a challenge here. Okay guys, I ask you kenapa beza? Okay, you can see go already looking at one reference. Okay, I ask you I'll tell you what's the difference here. Which one is certified now for our Recyclass? With so many material, tell me which one is certified for Recyclass. They will write what? Somewhere. Find for the word is certified. Certified to mana? Who is certified?
HDB.
The HDB is certified. Okay. Sorry. So for the second and for this right, wait, that to be. So for this it's 34. So you do 34 divided by 42, right? That's one. So this is how you get this number. Okay. Clear? It's same like this now, just more parts you need to. Huh? Yeah. So it will be but this doesn't confirm whether the rubber there is plastic rubber or natural rubber. Kalau natural rubber, yes, you omit it. If it's plastic rubber, you include it. So this is one of the standard, guys. The result of the essential content for production and unit is rounded down. What it means, right? If I did my calculation, it's 99.85% certified. I calculate him as 100%. Recyclass is like this, Sachi, right? For Recyclass, right? If I did my calculation, let's say it's not 80%, I get 99.85. I cannot claim 100%. 99%. They don't award you the 100%. They say, oh, you have the certain amount. All is 99%. No, 100. Something like brush your teeth kills 99.99% of bacteria. Why not 100%? Same lah. Recyclass is like that. So it run down. Now, right, this first example is 100%. Second one, different a bit. Previously it was 34, right? Now you see, right, for this calculation, right, I put 30.6. Why?
50% from the cost.
Yes. Because your HDB is no longer 100% certified. Now to find the certified content, right, this is your formula, guys. Remember this. To find certified content, right, if it's not 100% certified, less than 1, it's always going to be the weight of material times the percentage. Weight of the material times with the percentage. Berapa? 34, right? 34. Certified? No, how many percent certified? HDB number tu certified berapa persen? 90%. Berat dia? 34.
No, the total is 34.
Darab tu, this is your certified content. Your certified content divided by the total of plastic content. Not times it. Again,
Cannot.
you don't get to put 73, 72. You round it out as 72. Regardless. Clear? Any questions like why?
If it has 72.01,
72.
you cannot go to 71.
72.01.
Mm.
Can 72. Okay. Yeah. Only this is certified your Bollywood yang lain semua dia tak mampu because maybe they buy it as it is maybe. I don't know. Bollywood ask Bollywood.
What happened to the 3.4 kg uncertified SDP?
3.4.
Yeah, that one is 30.6 kg, right? Be 90%. So 10%.
Oh, the 10%
Oh, you only cannot be
100. The 10% is considered as non-certified plastic. So it can be, you nak ambil that amount, you nak letak dalam ni pun okay je. Yeah. It's your leftover balance, right? Is not certified. Every time when someone says I'm 80% certified, dia punya 20 tu is not certified. He can mix it with some other material that is not under the scope, the upstream. So always take it as it is. Sama for PEFC and FEC, take it as it is. When they say, oh, aku tu dulu 70% certified FSC, right? The remaining, right, what they are trying to tell you is control wood actually, nothing else. Okay. Congratulations, 1 down, 3 to go. Now we go to OBP. OBP got 3. Hard IP, your IP, identity pixel model, your segregation model, and your mass balance model. This is the only one we're going to look at. Here and here, right, you don't need to calculate guys. You don't need to calculate so much because data, it's not very difficult actually. Mass balance model can be difficult. The problem here, ladies and gentlemen, this one I don't know, I think it's actually somewhat like this. They discriminate a little bit for chemical recycling and mechanical recycling. Okay? For this first, we look at mechanical recycling first. Sebab senang. Mechanical recycling. This is your formula. Same as your Recyclass. The only thing is, don't look at Recyclass certification. Look at OBP content. For mechanical recycling, free attribution is not allowed. I will explain it. Free attribution is what. It's what it essentially means, right? Pernah tengok tak company? Have you seen companies whereby the production is like so bad, right? So hard to get like at least 50% or 80% material. So what they do is, right, let's say I produce 3 bottle, I produce 3 bottles, don't like I'm holding 3 bottles, something like that. The bottle, he when he produces it, he knows it's all 50%. 50% OBP. Unfortunately, his buyer said, no, I don't like your 50%, I only want 100%. So, Kai do some calculation, which I will show you later. he said, okay lah, I omit these two. Then I have one bottle here, 100% certified OPP. The rest I set it as non-certified. Understand what he's doing, right? He took this content, he put it inside here, and then he declared one quarter of it as non-certified. For OPP under mechanical recycling, they say cannot do that. Do not do that. Follow this. So this is your example. Let's say, right, I want to make this raw textile yarn here, right? Okay. But total output is how much? Total output means berapa weight? How much is the weight? 1 close. 2,000 close already. So how much of it is actually when we say this plus this is 1,500 raw material, 1,500, it means there's what? Dia punya production any losses or not? I give you I rephrase my question. If you see upper 500, 1,500 is your input, then your output is as it is, it means your production loss is also no production loss. So you apply this formula when there is no production loss, or your non-OBP PET and your OBP content PET share the same production loss. Use this formula. So for here, 500 is the OBP content, right? Because it's 100%. So times with 100 of course, divided by the total weight. Is the same as Recyclass. Okay, let's say, right, guys, if I were to reduce the content of this to 80%, then what do I do? Can we have an example? This one is 80% OPP content. How much will it be then? You saw how Recyclass applied? It should be the same here. 400 kg. 400 kg. So your content, your OPP content would be
20%.
I think you're right. 400, then divide by 2,000, 20%. 20%. Yeah. So correct. Done. Now, chemical recycling. I want to explain to you why they give flexibility. It's about chemical recycling. Boleh lah. Boleh. Bincang lah. Kita sini. Boleh. Why? OBP recognizes that chemical recycling process requiring such large volumes of resource to process a batch, and a batch that is to have entirely 100%, right, is not possible. Maybe possible in the future, but now not possible. Now it's not possible. So now it could result. So when you do this, right, they believe that when you incorporate chemical recycling, kan, tadi masa kita nampak mechanical recycling quite okay, right, the content, but they realize that now this chemical recycling people, right, they will have difficulties in actually trying to sell content that is high or 100%. It's maybe not possible for them if they use that formula, which is not. As a result, free attribution is allowed. Boleh. What? Free attribution. Just for your information, your book and claim and credit transfer might, for other standards, might look like what they're trying to state here. So now we look at this. This is your formula. OBP don't put this formula, guys. So I have to crack my head to come up with a formula. This formula is not stated in OBP for chemical recycling. So take this formula for your safekeeping for the future in case you got plastic client. Plastic client, or you have a credit transfer for FSC and PFC. OBP clean away. Okay, done. Because I want to explain to you how it works here. How it works here, right, is basically when utilizing this system, right, it's crucial for you to the organization to determine what they want. If your scope certificate says, apanya drawn textile yang ni, every time I sell it is 50%, then you punya 50% tu lah you find for it. Meaning, right, guys, your formula here, right, excuse me, you want, we take 50%, yeah? Understand it as this, guys. 50% I want because buyer minta. Why? What I have. How I get the Y, which is the 90 kilogram here, is it's 100% certified. You have 100 chips of this PET. Tapi you tengok production loss you for each.
Production loss tu memang not all the production tu ada production loss, ada yang tak ada kan. So macam mana nak tahu dia punya how much production loss?
Sometimes when you have this material, right, all of it would be you can determine their production loss if it's same material but you're acquiring from different, I would say, different kind of supplier. One is certified, one is not certified. But when you feed into the system, which is always the case for chemical recycling, your production loss is always the same. So how I get the 90, right, is actually from this. 100, if you times 10%, you get 90. When you get 90, right, then you get this answer here, 180. Meaning to say, right, out of your 9,000 kilograms of we call it DTY, guys, DTY. Out of your 9,000 DTY though, you only can get 180 tons of it with 50%. Kai, apa 100 or maybe anyone lah, 9,000 minus 180 berapa?
1,810.
What is my claim for that amount?
Non-certified.
It's big chunk, not certified. A lot. A lot non certified. Okay? Understand? For now. Now when I say okay, I want to increase. He don't want 50%, my client want 75. So now the amount here goes up, right? The denominator goes up a little bit. What happens to the rate? Going down, going up, going down. If I want 100%, yeah, going down also, but how much is it? It's the same as. What is the rate similar to? See, yeah?
Before ada
Ah.
ada reduction 10% kau. Right.
After reduction, but before manufacturing. So, Ashikin, your word is the same as the input for certified.
Yes.
Yeah. Use this word. Very important. Use this word input. Use the word output of finished good raw material. Use that word like the Bible. So, what Ashikin say is, if I want 100% certified, I want to claim this amount as 100% certified. Essentially, right, my I would say out of the amount for 100% is going to mirror my input for certified content. Makes sense. Why it's not 100? Because this one lah. If the CF or the conversion factor was 1, it would have been. If the conversion factor was 1, conversion factor 1 means what, guys? Don't do comments, impossible you know what is conversion factor 1. Production cost is berapa for conversion factor of 1? Dah lupa? Impossible. It's a very straightforward answer.
Are you sure?
Maybe my question is wrong here. Excuse me, guys, sorry. If CF is 0.9 and that equates to 10% production loss, if it's CF of 1, what is the production loss?
100%.
My God, 100% production loss? Close to the shop. They are kind of opposite to one another actually. When one goes low, another one goes high actually. So if it's 1, actually, what is it? What is my production loss?
1%. Right.
No, 0.
Oh, 0.
0. How I get, okay, I tell you guys, maybe tak berapa pasti how to get this.
Yeah.
Okay, you know how to get. Masa asa, guys, masa asa, they're not sure how they're getting the
Production loss, yeah. How you calculate the production loss?
Oh, no, production loss guys, very simple. After you don't get it like from calculation, you get it when you do your dry run for your production line. So, contoh, apa masa inputting the weird number. Let's say we know for a fact we input 2000 kilograms of PET. Maybe when I was trying to make my bottle, I weigh all the bottle. Okay, I timbang. Keluar 1000 kilo only. Okay, understand? Understand? This is very normal. in production line, impossible, not to say impossible, very difficult for you to get 2000 number. You always lose somewhere out there over the rainbow. You always lose amount. But this is for example, if you have 2000 input and your output is 1000, in order to get your production loss or your CF, it is actually your output and your input divided by your output. So in this case it's ni apa
1000 over 2000.
no, it's actually output over input. Other way. Sorry. So this is your O, this is your I. This is output is ni aku terbalik. So this is 1000. Your conversion factor is 0.5. How I get the 10%? I just times in the yeah. Yeah, 50%. Conversion factor will always be like 1 minus the pembagian. So let's say right, we change the number, This one is how much? This now I change the number, right? 1000. The output is 800. 10,800. Sorry. Output input lesser, output become big. 0.8. That means right. For to get your production loss right, you're supposed to first time actually is you're supposed to first get the you have the 100% right. So 80% of your product has become 80% of your input has become the product. The leftover is berapa? Ada 80%, then the remaining is 20. 20% is your production loss. Always. Understand it as that production loss is always the 100 minus that amount. Here is your free attribution. Again, your free attribution looks like you can claim and credit transfer system sometimes. So it involves your representing certified or uniquely attributed products independently from physical products themselves. So it's very intangible, guys. So must always remember this. Very intangible. So now we will go to GRS. GRS only two: segregation and control blending. So now your um, we can say that this GRS, right? They don't have all this. So the segregation model, as you know, separated. Control blending is the same when you mix the product. I might eat from the from the plastic. So the control blending model, actually you can actually mix the two products together. So actually when you assemble it, they will also consider it as like the form of control blending as well. Now for GRS, right? It's very comprehensive. I would say it would be very comprehensive. So we are going to look at a few examples here. So we have a woman dress examples here. We got sweatshirt example. We have jacket example. Why? Because they have different formulas for different kind of production losses. If they say the production loss is the same for all materials, then we have one kind of formula. If it's different, then they give you another different kind of formula. If there's components of it that weighs a certain amount, you can exclude. If it's a significant amount, then you cannot exclude. You have to put it in. And then there's a part here which is important, which is doing the material composition. Why material composition? Because again, remember GRS, right? Can have GRS, can have RCS, and multiple other products as part of your claims and labels. In plug points, right? We have so when we look at this example here, if there's no production losses, or there is for very high certainty that the production loss for each polyester material is the same. So this part here, I won't stay for very long. Sama je. Their formula is input claim material weight, which is this one. We take it as 100% divided by the total input weight, which is 200. We have a fabric here that is also, there's one claim, and then GRS claim. When they say GRS claim, right, it is 100%. There's no percentage, right? If you notice here, there's no percentage. When there's no percentage, it means that it's certified 100%. Take it as it is. So, understand for now? So it's now you have problem here. Uh-oh. You have an incident where these two fabrics making the frock here over here is now different. Maybe because one is from a different supplier. So when you do the production line and then you assemble it as part of your control blending, then it has a very different, I would say, amount. So for this, right, you have to find your the amount, the output material, because initially it was input and output, right? Input, everything is input, right? Now it's before you put the output, you need to make sure the output is correct. So for this, there's a production loss difference here. So we have to figure out how much is the certified the output material going. So we have 100 minus 10% over 100. But actually, right, you can do the other way, which is, who knows the alternative for C1 and C2? There's an alternative calculation. By the way, Mr. Kai, your unlock it in this
Oh,
okay, I go back, maybe a bit confused now. This is GRS. GRS. This is GRS, okay? GRS has for same material production loss or no production loss, they look at input only, right? Input. So for here, this is GRS came 100, and then here is 200. 200 plus 100, 300. So 100 divided by 300, we have 33. So the convert is as 33% certified, right? Now my question to you is, they give you a different formula when the production loss is different from one another. But you don't necessarily have to follow this formula. What is the other formula you can use? Cuba look at your writing, see got or not. Your goal here then is to figure out how much is the weight of this. So you see, right, it's a long formula, correct? Very long. It's 100 minus 10%, that is times with 100 to get 20. Actually, there's another formula. What is the formula? 100 times 100 because the weight, right? Times with
0.1.
no.
can I add the production loss to it?
Is it we're looking at production loss or another number beside it?
20%, so means 70% is. Oh no.
Don't look. My question to you, right, is very simple. Don't look at this material. My question to you is material. What is an alternative formula for this?
Macam previous kan, output over input 1000.
Output over input
1000.
times 100. Actually, there's another one. Cuba you tengok yang warna merah tu.
Input weight and conversion.
This one.
Input is 100.
You times with 0.9, do you get 90?
Yeah.
That's the alternate. So right, it's actually
But if you buat calculation tu untuk dapat dia punya conversion rate, right? So
no, I'm getting you to get my output weight. You.
yeah.
Input how much is my input there? For atas yang dia ada 100 times with how much is my
Conversion rate
0.9?
0.9.
How much I get?
90.
This is your alternate. You don't have to follow what DRS says. You can have a short version of it. Alternatively, you can follow this also to get this kilogram. It's actually the same,
Yeah.
but just longer. Then the next step is to do the same thing for C2. C2 pun sama, right? C2 right? Is actually okay? Okay. So when you plus this together, what you get? The total, the 250 is the total output rate. So put it here. You already know 90, put it here. So when you do the calculation, this is your formula. It's actually the same.
You play
but
with the
you
numbers.
can- You have an alternate formula here.
If you cannot understand this, just take the previous calculation.
You have an alternate formula. Now it's going to be a bit more difficult because GRS says this, you know. There's some parts of the maju boleh exclude from the calculation. So you can exclude. Is it that you may exclude it provided that this is the statement. They say if that material consists of less than 10% of the overall product weight, it you boleh exclude. So right, don't look. Sekarang don't look. I think because you opening, you trying to look and then trying to listen to me. Okay. Now right, ingat tak? Remember his Gorgos. Remember his Gorgos? Just now we had a discussion, right? They said for there's one standard. They said, oh, if it's not 50% of the whole material weight, then it does not qualify. This is what they say, right? So, I want to take a picture. Yeah. So, this is the same thing we are doing here now. Our goal then is to make sure, look at this whole product. Product mana paling ringan? Which product is the lightest? The sequence management is the lightest. Our goal now is to make sure that the sequence here is
Not more than 10%.
is not more than 10% or if it's more than 10%. Okay? So senang. This is very, very simple. There's no production loss for this. No production loss here. You see a CF production loss? No, right? So how do you want to figure out apa peratusan berat sequence ni dari jumlah keseluruhan? What is the percentage amount of this sequence with this whole thing? So 6 over the total weight, right? Yeah. So you put that, you convert it to 3%. Divided 1.
What if kalau dia punya yang macam C3 tu tak boleh tahu berat?
Tak boleh?
Tahu dia punya berat. Macam kan ada orang pakai macam
Payet.
ya, dia jahit dekat tu yang plastik.
If it's very heavy kind of material under GRS, most likely that thing is not 10%. It's more. So here you can see it's you can exclude it. So when you exclude it, can this 6 ni total 206, right? The total if 6 is what it took off, it's eligible for exclusion. When you exclude it, how much you get? Total output weight 200. So just take 100 over 200, 0.5. Simple, right? Yeah. Okay, Sachi? No. Which part lost? Here. Okay. It became 200, right, Sachi? Overall weight is 206, right? It became 200 because we removed C3 from the equation. So now the equation here is actually I use number. C1 over C1 plus C2. If If it was heavier, I would put plus C3. But because it's lighter, it's less than 10% of the total weight, it's eligible for inclusion. Baju clothes like this, then we are not too sure, right? How much we have to calculate. This is a payet. It's a metal payet will be bread. Sometimes you see actually nowadays on 10 kilo on the shoulder like that. So first what we do, we have to figure out whether it's 10% of the whole thing. So we follow the same thing. 35 because the metal payet weighs that much. Divide by this one different. This one now different carbon. Now this one metal payet.
Can you go back to this?
Yeah. Yeah. We have a metal payet now. The metal payet now is 35 kilos. 35 kilo plus with the, I think I put the fabric as the same, or actually more. There's more. Yeah. Your GRS is the only standard have this one. May exclude if it's 10%.
So
Ah.
it consider exclude if it 10%.
Less than this.
But they feel like, oh, it's so light. Can I remove it? So usually baju like here, yang the bling 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 all that. The company is like, I got this bling bling from non-certified material. I have to like upgrade, is it? So they said if it's less than the whole thing, then you don't have to jeopardize because maybe they try to achieve a certain percentage content. So they said GRS have minimum weight. Okay, so for this it's different. The metal payet is very heavy, it's much heavier than the sequence. So we got 35 divided by, we have 35 plus
300.
yeah. So how much?
10%.
Num.
It's actually 10.44. You consider it as 10.
You are allowed to as 10 under this standard. You can have it as 10. Only in Recyclass is if it's, let's say you get 10.54, then you can make it as 11 actually. Round it off. Recyclass will downgrade it. GRS see here. Now you know, right? You cannot exclude it. Right? Now you know you cannot exclude it. So just now I give example essentially you cannot exclude this equation. So you take the 100 then claim. By the way, I think maybe you were not claim automatic 100%. If you see someone saying GRS claim material, it's 100%. The no percentage initiated. So how much is this exactly? This one about 20. By the way, I put this symbol squiggly one because it's not exact amount.
59.3.
Yeah. In this you are able to make it as 30. In this case, when this is rounded, therefore it cannot be excluded. It's a very significant part of the garment itself. You cannot omit it from the whole thing. Have to be included. Okay? Okay. Why we have to do this, right, guys? It's very simple. Determination of material composition can be complicated when products have variety of materials in their composition with differing characteristics. the breakdown of the output materials are as follows. I would break down why because simple. I here no formula guys, so I want you to help me double confirm correct or not. This GRS claim post consumable right is 300 grams. Apa, if after 20% production loss, how much I should get actually? I must get this value. Ah, 20% loss. So it's because CF will be how much? Okay, you tak payah fikir banyak. It's usually like 20% loss. Think of it as when we think of paratos, right? The maximum is 100, right?
0.7. 0.8.
Yes, you got it. You're getting already the hang of it. 10% is
10% is
100 minus 10 is
0.8.
yeah. So just double confirm dengan saya betul tak this number for wood. Have it for wood first. Betul. Betul. Okay. We'll look at this. We'll look at this here. We'll look at this. We'll look at this. Look at this. How I get 34%? Don't apa look at the percentage there. Look at berat dulu. Don't look at the percentage there. Look at the berat. Satu-satu look at. Recyclass is the third one. 140 times weight.
Yes.
Correct. The one above the shell. The shell, by the way, for those who don't know, shell is luar, lining is dalam. Untuk jaga macam ni, right? Between the outer and the internal one dia ada letak benda kapas-kapas sedikit biar warm lah. So that's the padding. Okay, polyester. Now we have polyamide material that is down there. Also same. How much is it?
Same. Because 10%.
Post-consumer polyester understand? Faham tak? You know how you get this? How I got this? You have to look at the material. You have polyester, you have polyamide, you have polyester, you have wool. You have three kinds of material. So you have 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now my question to you, right? The polyamide, which is this, 140 times with
90%.
then after that these 2 times again, right? There's a problem here, production loss. How I get this, right, is actually for recycle post-consumer polyamide, right? If you see this amount here is 140, it's 0.9, right? Equal to 90%. How much? 126. 126 is input actually, considered as input. But there's a production loss. So when it went into the machine and all that, I lost another 10%. So I times this with
113.4.
it's 0.9, right? No, not 1. You must understand, production loss is, you say 1 because it's production loss. We use this as conversion factor, why? If I take production loss, I have to do this
Another
the equation yang panjang tu. So you don't want, right? You want to make your life easy. Life must be easy. Life's easy with Haji. Okay. Okay. Okay.
We're not directly use that amount. We need to sebab dia ada loss dekat situ.
Loss, and then the certified is not 100%.
It's 90.
So you get this, right? Finish. Done. You must understand, oh my god, I'm so sorry. You must understand, this is recycle. How much is the non-recycle?
Minus 1.
Yes, do minus, so you get this. Now, right, all polyamide plus, I get this amount. All polyester plus, I get this amount. Wool, I get this amount. From here, I can do breakdown. Right? Correct what? 240 divided by the total output. 126 divided by the total output. 126 divided by 762. That's how I got my percentage. Double confirm. See correct or not? T1.2.
1.49.
That's 1.5. 30 recycle post-consumer, right? How much does the polyester make for the total bill?
51.69.
51. Can you make it as 50 and all that? Make it as small one. But that's how you get the breakdown actually. 50, 30, 60. Make it as that. From there, the next step is now to determine both the GRS and RCS criteria. Actually, right, there's you punya 54% is actually from the initial I put from the input actually before the output. The output material is this. How I got the 34, 50 and 16 is actually from total the input breakdown. So this now you guys calculate, right? 31 point. You got, right, something like
31.4.
Can put it as 30% clean also because put it there. Actually it should be 31%. So RCS is 31%, GRS is 31.5. You know how you get it, right? Yeah, it's same because it was the only input. Kalau kita tengok yang lain kan, dia ada polyester ada recycle polyester, RCS recycle polyester, ada yang RCS clean polyamide, ada yang polyamide biasa. Can follow a bit?
Yeah.
I cannot find that 34% that
Oh, you want to know the 34? Actually, it's
it's at 240.
the I think right it's the input. Input. Try to take 300 divided by 100. 140. Actually, it shouldn't be 34 lah. It should be 31 for because it's supposed to tally with one another. Become 100%. I might actually you can omit this actually.
Yeah.
You can omit this.
Because 34% is divided by 800.
The input. Wait, actually doesn't make so much of a difference.
Yeah, those are 600 plus 140 plus 1.
Oh, yang ni after
This one
after loss.
So after the loss, the percentage right is the initial part. Can actually the percentage is initial part. The weight that I put here all is output rate. Why? My goal is to get this 762.
Same goes to 58.
What is it? Total input is 800.
Tapi dapat tadi.
Oh, I tried.
Ni mesti dia lagi cekuk ada 34, ada jawapan.
It's okay, guys. The goal here, right, is actually right. You're supposed to find out the output material weight. Here, you need to know the output material weight that is going into the jacket. So now that you know this jacket is 762. Now we look at which one is RCS. For this, RCS is only for the polyester and the polyamide. If I'm not mistaken, yeah. Correct? Only polyester and polyamide is RCS certified. So I took the output for the RCS polyamide and RCS polyester. Plus it divided by the output. So actually it should be 31%. If it's 31.5, then it should be 32. So it's 31. 31. For GRS, only the whole. So you took 240 and divided by 762. That's about it. Percentage tu mungkin ada salah, guys. Don't look at the percentage. I think got a mistake there. Just look at the output rate. Here maybe have mistake here. Now, first step now is to determine which one is can.
Because it's difficult to say.
Can you come in front as actually no problem. Because I think
It's not the.
take the RCS and you take the GRS. Okay. Now your final step is to determine the percent content of each material. So now we have to figure out how much is recycled post-consumer polyamide and how much is recycled post-consumer polyester. So this is excuse me, this is a bit I would say a bit straightforward in the sense that the percentage content was 100% here. Okay. We look at polyester dulu eh. For polyester only this, right? For polyester, it's regular recycle post-consumer RCS clean recycle. No percentage means 100%. So you put 100% times with 1 to 6. It's actually essentially 1 to 6 divided by 662 lah. So this is your amount for recycled post-consumer polyester. Okay. This one, your polyamide got 90%. So you have to put 90% times 113.4 grams divided by 762. Recycled post-consumer polyamide is only here. So it's lesser. 13.4. Can put it as 13. If it's 13.5, we have to put 14. Need time to write, right?
It's easier because kita dah kali previous one.
Previous one,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah. Why we determine this, right, is because GRS will want to know how much of it is GRS certified, how much of it is RCS certified. No, then
Second one, you round up to the next upper value, right? Not the lower value.
you mean 13.4?
Not the 13.4, the 16.5. Yeah, consider 70%.
17, because if it's round up like that.
Okay, but the previous, you round up to the.
Recyclass is round up, right? GRS can round up.
For the upper value.
For upper round up, for the upper value, GRS can. Recyclass can. Recyclass cannot. Recyclass a bit difficult. They don't award 100% the recipe. GRS can. GRS, ICC Plus, or BP can. They reward. They reward. the recycle post consumer is just maintained because it's as stated in the previous one. Okay. So your graph will end up looking like this. Your bar, your table will end up looking like this. So final product composition for this jacket is as follows. So you can take a picture of it here. So now it's they put there the product detail, the code and the address. Will be that the metal composition is 30% post-consumer polyamide, then you have 70% post-consumer polyester, and then you have 32% post-consumer, which is an HRDC.
So basically kita kalau kita as a client do as a consultant, kita akan bagi dia yang ni lah kan, this calculation lah.
This would be what they have to show to the auditor lah. If they are parallel lah. Usually most of the product like if you pen like that, won't have so much of input. I give a lot of input for this just in case. But for a parallel, usually they give something like this as part of to show the material product composition. So then they keep track of it and they can show to auditor that this has two claims under it. There's two claims under it, but this is the material composition. So they can even declare which is post-consumer because the material is different also. Remember JRS they say like you can only make that claim provided that they are segregated one and also there are two different materials. So this is something they will probably need to declare. Then you have Iscc plus, this is the final one. Final one, they only have three here: physical segregation, mass balance, and control blending. For physical, for mass balance, their mass balance actually looks like, again, it looks like the free attribution kind of credit transfer, looks like book and claim balance. And the control blending looks like similarly. Go next one, yeah. The formula for Iscc plus for upper mass balance works very similarly with the chemical recycling. So you have the max Iscc plus claim rate divided by the desired content of the Iscc plus U1. So we have mass balance chain of custody that we want to do here. We can do the control blending, but it's similar. So I won't go through again, but we can do one for Iscc plus, but in a more like visual manner. So the formula is very similar formula. So that they don't specify any equation. So you kind of actually have to put we have to use the previous calculation, which is the Iscc plus system, the one that we did for BP. So this is similar actually to the previous one. So let's say you have no production loss when you make the bottle. So 8 plus 8 tons in 8. So you have 8 tons or 7 tons of PET pellets that we plus, and you make your output, it would be 50 tons. Yes.
For the weight, right, is there any standard weight that we need to use in kg?
No. But this is up to the organization. If they feel like it's easy for them to access for one baju, for one calculation, then after that this upper expand the number for production wise. Then usually Baijo they will do it in for one material because it's for one particular product. But for bottle they can do like for mass. So all of it will always look the same and production line will be the same. So you can use tons, you can use kg, but one value must maintain all the way down. Jangan apa like kilowatt become megawatt things like that. Okay. So yeah, your ICC plus claim weight here is 8. Again, we take as a visual representation here. Let's say one bottle is 1 ton. So we have 8 plus 7, which is 15, right? We take 8 plus 9, like 15. So we got 15 bottles here. If you want to claim bottles as 100% certified of ICC plus, you can only take this amount, right? Makes sense, like previously. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is all 100% ICC plus certified bottles. The other 7 don't carry any ICC certification label, nothing such as that. Okay. Any confusion here? Yeah. Now, let's say it's not ICC plus, it's 90%. How much I can claim now? Maximum maximum ICC plus claim for my bottle, how much? 90%, so 90% must times with
7.2 ton.
the 8 tons still have the tons with
0.9.
0.9. So you get 7.2. So initially this number was 8, right? Now you have to change it to 7.2. And then your desired claim, let's say you don't want 100%, you want 80, so you put it there. So now we have 9 tons. 9 tons that are 80% certified, yeah? So the rest all not certified. The blue color I put there, the blue color is certified content. So the rest is not certified. So again, for control blending, very similar to, I would say very similar to GRS control blending. If you have for certainty that the input and the input and the output is the same, that means no production loss, then you can use the formula for input over input. If the output is different, then you have to incorporate the CF or production loss. So it's this or this, depending on the production loss differences between each material or there is similarities with each material. So like this, it's standard lah. 8 divided by 50, because there's no production loss. There's no production loss, so you can take the input straight away. Simple. This one, can you use the input and output again?
No.
No. Kind of can't. How I get 9.6?
7. Total.
after
Total output.
Yes, very good. So you guys are already getting the hang of it. How I get 9.6 is 8 times 0.5 plus with 7 times 0.8. And then you get 9.6. How much was the ICC plus certified material? It's actually the 4 times, which was 8 times 0.5. So number for this example, right, is actually, I slow down for you. How I get this weight, this output weight, is actually because it's output of the clay material, right? So I have to take this. What would be the formula, the baby formula, the initial formula, not baby formula, the initial formula for this? How to get 4?
8 times 0.5.
So it's this. Conversion factor actually we find for a lot of clients, right? When we do it, it's very fast. So that's why they say they would give us production loss. The 20 or 30% we lose it. Then we will straight away already like okay, so we will put that. Because when you do the Excel sheet, right, it becomes unnecessarily long if you follow one GRS or GRS has usually GRS gives the amount. Apa? Oh, conversion factor tu macam that means it's like the number that we use to essentially say that if I take the input and I times it with this conversion factor, it becomes the output. That's the number essentially. That's what it means. Macam nombor yang tetap yang yang kita guna sebab sometimes they put different input weight, so the conversion factor becomes the nombor tetap selalu. It won't vary so much. Okay.
So yang variable factor ni dengan dia punya loss tadi.
So this one is just just to explain to you guys, right? So ICC plus claims, right, on the percentage potential, we only need to the specific material. So for the product displayed on the left here, the claims made for Tongguan industry here and plastics here are 30% recycled plastic. When they say 30% recycled plastic, right, they have not in any way, when they made the 30% claim, right, they have not taken into consideration the weight of this core, paper core or something like that. They have not taken into consideration of that. So that's why the organization makes no claims regarding the product's core, which is not made of plastic. They just made on their specific claim. So when they make the calculation for this HDPE film here, it is just linked for this, and it's moving onwards. If the certified material is blended or combined with non-certified components, the X rule shall apply to the certified material only. That means it needs to be anything that is going into the plastic film. This core must always be separated. So, because sometimes when they put it in this, they call it nano green, I don't know why. They put it in this box, right? It's total product weight, right? But maybe dalam Excel, in the Excel sheet, they will, in terms for ICC plus glass claim and all that, they will always minus this off. So if auditor asks, why is it not the same as this? The only justification is, this is not recycled material or not Iscc plus material. So that's why I don't take the, you know, in product, they always put net weight 7 grams, like blah blah blah. So if it's in the mass balance spreadsheet that they have when auditing, tak sama, it's not that. The only justification is that we omit this completely. And oftentimes they don't even depict for one product, they depict for one batch, or one whole batch. So it can be deduced that the Iscc class allows organization to make claims regarding materials in a product rather than making claims for the entirety of the product. So don't include the packaging. Iscc class is very strict, yeah. Let's say that you see the label now. You can see it. You can see that they put that 30% recycled plastic, mass balance approach. They will in the back, right? Then they will elaborate what is Iscc plus certified. The box on this included. They will specify. This is on volume reconciliation, yeah. Okay. This is maybe to give you an example. For OPP and OPP and Iscc Plus, they share one common element, which is volume reconciliation. It's like book claiming or credit transfer. What it means, right, essentially, like sometimes you overproduce a product, the product has no sustainability or recycle claim material, they allow you to carry forward. This statement. In the process of making 50% bottle, maybe this one I can use. Also black this thing. So maybe in the process of making this bottle, right, which is 50%, they would have all this time they use 15 gram SEC, OPP, then 50 gram non-certified. In the event that the second month has more certified, most Iscc plus than the non-certified, under this approach, right, especially for chemical recycling, they cannot like suddenly, oh, this product is 55 or 65% if it's not stated in their scope certificate. So they have balance, right, a little bit. So they can carry forward that amount to the next one in case the next following one there's a deficiency of it. So this is what they are stating essentially. To give you a depiction, this one OBP has 3 months only. Iscc plus they will declare how long. So we take this example, yeah. Oh, this AN this company, right? Their reconciliation period is every 3 months. So every 3 months they need to check and record the amount of OBP materials they have used and other materials they have used and also produced stuff. So there's some variable ratios here. See, right? When you do the calculation, they found out that maybe in the first month they produce 60%, and 40% of other materials, while in the second month it could be 50-50. So they are basically saying that they're making a batch of product, and 60% is OPP, 40% is non-OPP. So it's 100%, right? The whole total. But then maybe on the second month, right, I get 50-50. but my product always maintains 55, 55, 55. It's in my scope certificate. I cannot just simply change it. This one is the concept you must understand. You cannot simply change it unless it's declared that in the certificate they can sell 60%, 50%. Then okay. If they declare 55, 55 it is. End of period compliance. They say at the end of the 3 months, they must ensure that the overall ratio of objective to other materials matches the ratio declared in the scope certificate. That's why I said scope certificate is very, very important. If your scope certificate says that the product should contain 55, and they need to make sure that on average the products have 55. Nothing more, nothing less. Even though in reality on paper it's not as it is, but it has to be the same. Rugi, Akai said there's some like a loss, like no profit like that. But in what sense?
Just the 75 or 51%.
Mm-hmm.
Then let's say on month 1 they have 60%. So they have around five extra. That one extra is a lot. I think not in terms of profit.
The amount that they can use, right? But must always understand mana tahu in the third month it's 40, 60.
Oh, it's covered back.
Oh, it can be covered if less.
If less, but within that consideration. So this one I just give an example lah. See for month 1, month 2, month 3, the total OPP also is this one. 1, 2, and 3. So you have 600, 500, 550, you have 16501. So the total weight is, of course, 1650 plus with this one. This one is 1350. Total is 3000 kilos. So 1650 divided by 3000 is 55% as per their scope. This is how it applies. So you can see, right, Kai? Actually, by minimum can, minimum, right? He should always maintain month 1, month 2, month 3 like this, like month 3. He should be like that. But he's very lucky. Month 1, he managed to get more. Month 2, he's at danger zone. He lost actually by 100. He's lacking 100 actually. Because he should get 5. This is his perfect condition. 550 over 1000 is 55. Correct. Okay, now I ask you guys, right? For month 1, right? Let's don't look at the idea. What is his certified amount actually? Or he could have sold the first batch on month 1 by how many percent actually? No, reality.
Oh, yes.
Reality. Yes, very good. 60. Yes, very good. Month 2? Yes, 50. But he declared already there will be 55, 55. So he got extra. He's less, you know. He cannot. By right, he couldn't have declared this. Actually, right, company don't care if you 600, 600. After you declare as less, it's okay. Company will have, or people will have a very big issue if you're like 550, 500, 400. Gone. The only thing different with book and claim and this volume reconciliation, right? You cannot have minus. What will happen? Take your certificate and see. Yeah. Because he won't sell it as 40, 45. He will sell it as 55 as per the scope certificate. If he's selling like that, then downstream, right, we all will be like, okay, 55, then okay, 105 the traceability is light because of this one person. So usually, if the company is ethical, they will tell the certification body, we did the wrong calculation, we need to retract back the product going up. But if they keep quiet, then this most likely will blacklist the company. This one is for you guys to know if terlebih, how much you can bring forward. This is the one. Okay. If procurement of additional OBP materials occurs which will cause an excess of OBP certified content, example is in the blue box here. I will bring you over. So how the excess will be applied, I will bring it to the next slide later. What I want to tell you all is see this number. Write it somewhere. Okay. Actual, maybe you can put the actual, the excess, and the weight. The weight. I need the weight. Okay. So from here, right, you can see he did 70. Excuse me. He did 70. He did 60. He did 65. Quick. It's quite a lot. He has an excess of a lot actually. He excess like banyak percent he excess. So he will claim it as 55. He will claim it as 55 as it is. But actually, right, he could have claimed it for 65. So in order to get the excess, you 65 minus 55, which you get is 10%. Correct? Why I did 10% times 3,000 is because we need to know the weight of the excess. In 3 months, he produced 3,000, right? So 10% times 3,000, you got 300. So this number you keep and save it in your heart because we will revisit it later. This one is for your what I'm trying to say is that the only difference between Iscc Plus and OBP mass balance for both the mass balance model, when they call it as credit, they call it as credit. Same thing, credit. They call it credit transfer. So the reconciliation period of OBP is synonymous with the definition in Iscc Plus mass balance period. However, Iscc Plus for OBP, right, they always say 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. Iscc Plus say you can go beyond, but only for certain products, only certain materials, and then also for biomass related products. So you can be extended up to 12 months for biomass producers only. So not so much for circularity, but maybe for Iscc Plus, for biomethane, things like that. You know, right? Iscc Plus certifies anything, everything all at once. I think you guys need a break. 5 minutes.